children. Hope you are good in health and doing good with respect to studies. And you have solved one part of the questions from the question bank which we have provided to you. The next part we shall solve today. Hope you have solved the questions, understood the subject and answered the questions yesterday itself. Okay? Starting from 17th question of 1 mark till 16th, until 1 to 16th questions we discussed. We shall take up 17th question. Okay, 17th to 25th question from 1 mark. Okay. See, 17th question, what type of defect is exhibited by solid solution? See, it is given here solid solution. Solid solution is a homogeneous mixture of two or more solids, solid substances. Homogeneous mixture of two or more solid substances called as solid solution. Here it is a solid solution of cadmium chloride and silver chloride, AgCl. Okay, see, it is a mixture of two substances, means it is not in the pure form, it is mixed with some other substance. Whenever a substance is mixed with other or any other substance, it cannot be a pure substance, then it should be a mixture, or we call it as a impure substance. Impure substance. In this case, silver chloride is doped with cadmium chloride. Whenever silver chloride is doped with cadmium chloride, two of the silver ions miss from the lattice and one cadmium with the 2 valency occupy any one vacancy. Creating another vacancy is unoccupied. In this case, silver chloride is doped with cadmium chloride in the sense it is made impure by adding cadmium chloride. So, the answer to this question in brief is impurity defect. So, what is asked here? What type of defect is exhibited by solid solution of cadmium chloride and silver chloride? Answer is impurity defect. Okay, now let us go to the next. What are F centers? F centers, nothing but Forbenzentus. F meaning Forbenzenter. Okay, nothing but color. F nothing but color. F centers are nothing but color centers. They are nothing but color centers. See, when do we get these color centers? See, whenever sodium chloride, we have seen sodium chloride, it is white or you can say it is colorless. Whenever it is heated in the presence of sodium vapors in a discharge tube, okay, whenever it is heated with in the atmosphere of sodium vapors, sodium chloride, white sodium chloride gets converted into yellow or golden yellow sodium chloride. So, why this yellow color appears? Yellow color is because of occupation of free electrons. Free electrons occupy the anion vacancy. See, this is the arrangement of sodium and chloride ions in a sodium chloride crystal. Okay. So, whenever it is heated in the atmosphere of sodium vapors, sodium atom gets deposited on the sodium crystals. As soon as one sodium atom get deposited on the crystal surface, One chloride leaves its place, lattice site. We call this as lattice site. Lattice site. Chloride leaves its lattice site and go near the sodium atom. As soon as chloride go near the sodium atom, these two combine. When these two combine, sodium atom loses one electron and get converted into sodium ion. This electron which is lost by the sodium occupy the anion vacancy created by the chloride. Hence, electron is now occupying the lattice site which is made vacant by which ion? Anion. This kind of anion vacancies occupied by the free electrons are called as color centers or F centers. F center means anion vacancy occupied by the free electron. Okay, this is the definition of F center. Coming to the next question, 19th. What is the color imparted by potassium chloride due to anion vacancy? See here, sodium chloride gets a yellow color. Instead of sodium chloride, if we take potassium chloride. If at all potassium chloride is heated in potassium vapors, whenever it is heated in potassium vapors, potassium chloride, it is also white colorless solid, gets lilac color, lilac colored potassium chloride, lilac color or you can say violet colored. Okay, it gets violet color or lilac color or pale pink color, that is the color imparted to or by the potassium chloride due to anion vacancy, that is because of formation of color centers, or we call them as what? F centers. Coming to the next 20, question number 20. Zinc oxide turns yellow on heating. Name the type of defect created. Why zinc oxide? You know, zinc is in zinc compounds, zinc is exhibiting +2 oxidation state. Okay, zinc is in 2+ oxidation state. If at all you take zinc in atomic state, its atomic number is 30 with the electronic configuration argon 3d10 4s2. Okay, in the zinc 2+ state, in the oxidized state, it has lost 2 electrons. It is now having 28 electrons. Its electronic configuration is now 3d10 4s0. 3d10 in the sense all the d electrons are paired. All the electrons are paired. All the electrons, 28 electrons in the zinc ion are paired. There are no unpaired electrons. When there are no unpaired electrons, the substance will be white or it is colorless. If at all there are no unpaired electrons. So in zinc oxide, zinc is in +2 state, absence of unpaired electrons make it colorless or you can say white. When this white zinc oxide is heated, what happens? Zinc, in the zinc oxide lattice, zinc and oxide ions are present alternately in this way. Okay. Whenever we heat zinc crystals, white or colorless zinc crystals, oxygen, oxide ions undergo oxidation. That means they lose electrons, they leave electrons and also they leave the crystal in the form of oxygen gas. So one of the oxide escapes from the lattice and that oxide loses 2 electrons and get converted into oxygen. So if you balance it, we cannot say it is oxygen O, we have to write molecular oxygen, that is O2. So let us balance like this. See, 2 of the oxygen atoms are converted into 1 oxygen gas. So I have to write how many electrons now? 4 electrons. So oxide undergo oxidation upon heating, loses electrons, get converted into oxygen gas. Hence, anion vacancies are created. 2 of the anion vacancies are created. As soon as anion vacancy is created, as soon as anion vacancy is created, one of the zinc ion leaves its place, go near the anion vacancy and occupy the interstitial site. What is this site? Interstitial site. Interstitial site. Okay. And cation leaves its lattice site and go near the interstitial site. Again, along with this cation, the electrons lost by the oxygen will occupy the nearby places like this. Because of presence of these free electrons, so formed or so obtained zinc oxide, which was white, gets what color? Yellow color. So, what is the question here? What is the question? Zinc oxide turns yellow on heating. Name the type of defect. The defect is what? Metal excess defect. See here, how many oxygens are less? 2 oxygens are less. How many zinc ion vacancy is created? 1, but it is present in the lattice. So, what is the vacancy now? Oxygen vacancy. Oxygen vacancy nothing but anionic vacancy, but we call it as metal excess defect. It is called as metal excess defect. The answer is metal excess defect, in which excess cation occupy interstitial site. Occupy interstitial site. This is how you should write the answer. So, what is the defect name? It is metal excess defect, in which excess cation occupy the interstitial site. Coming to the question number 21, what are non-stoichiometric defects? Non-stoichiometric. Stoichiometry nothing but balanced equation or nothing but empirical ratio or nothing but the complete formula. Okay, stoichiometry gives us the exact ratio of atoms of different elements present in a compound, like H2O. The stoichiometry of H2O molecule is hydrogen 2 and oxygen 1. 2:1. In 2:1 ratio, hydrogen and oxygen combine to give a molecule. We call it as what? Water. So, we call this as stoichiometry. If I say ferrous oxide, the stoichiometric ratio is 1:1, because for every iron there is 1 oxygen. So, what is the question here? What are non-stoichiometric defects? Non-stoichiometric defects is nothing but the defect due to which there is no stoichiometry, or stoichiometry of the compound disturbs or destroyed. Okay, the defect due to which stoichiometry of the compound get disturbed, such a defect is called as non-stoichiometric defect. 22, question number 22. A sample of nickel oxide has the formula. See here, formula is not, I think you may not understand the formula. You should write, you correct it like this, nickel 0.98 O1 you can write, or O, that's it. So, here formula is given, nickel 0.98 O. Name the type of non-stoichiometric defect it exhibits. See, look at this formula in which nickel is 0.98 for, and oxygen is 1. The ratio is 98:100. That means for every oxygen there are 0.98 number of nickels. That means there are less number of nickel compared to anion, and here there are less number of metal atoms, hence we call this as metal deficiency defect. Metal deficiency defect. Less number of metals are present, so we call this as metal deficiency defect. We shall discuss this in detail in the next question. Okay. Next one, what are intrinsic semiconductors? Intrinsic and extrinsic are the two types of semiconductors. Semiconductors are the materials whose electrical conductivity lies between those of conductors and insulators. There are two types of semiconductors, intrinsic and extrinsic semiconductors. Intrinsic semiconductors are nothing but the pure crystals of silicon and germanium. Extrinsic semiconductors are nothing but crystals of silicon and germanium doped with, that is made impure, doped with trivalent or pentavalent impurity. Trivalent or pentavalent impurity. We shall take up this in detail in the discussion of next questions. Okay. What are intrinsic semiconductors? Intrinsic semiconductors are nothing but pure crystals of silicon and germanium. Coming to the next 24th question. How does electrical conductivity of electrolyte vary with the temperature? Electrolytes conductivity, semiconductors conductivity and metals conductivity. Okay, I will be taking all the three: metals conductivity, semiconductors conductivity and electrolytes conductivity. Okay. So, with the temperature we are discussing, metals conductivity is inversely proportional to temperature. If you decrease the temperature, metals conductivity goes on increases. Semiconductors conductivity as well as electrolytes conductivity increases with increase in temperature. Both semiconductors conductivity as well as electrolytes conductivity increases with increase in temperature. Collectively, if you study, you will not get confused. See here, metals conductivity is inversely proportional to temperature. You might have heard of superconductors. Superconductors are the materials whose conductivity is infinity and resistance is 0. A metal becomes a superconductor at 0 Kelvin temperature. We call this temperature as absolute zero temperature. Absolute zero temperature. At absolute zero temperature, all metals becomes superconductors. Superconductors are those whose conductivity is equal to infinity and resistance is equal to 0. Resistance is equal to 0. They offer no resistance for the flow of electricity. They conduct electricity to the maximum extent. So, definition for answer to this 24th question, how does electrical conductivity of electrolyte varies with temperature? Your answer is increases with increase in temperature. Coming to the last question from the 1 mark part. Name the type of semiconductor obtained when germanium is doped with indium. Okay. See, indium ion. Indium belongs to 13th group. In the 13th group we have boron, aluminium, gallium, indium and thallium. The valency or valence electronic configuration of 13th group is Ns2, Np1. They have their valency is equal to 3. That means they have 3 valence electrons. These elements are called as trivalent impurity. When germanium belongs to 14th group: carbon, silicon, germanium, tin and lead. Okay, tin and lead. So these 14 group elements valence electronic configuration is Ns2, Np2. Their number of valence electrons are 4. They have got 4 valence electrons. That means they can make 4 bonds. 15th group elements, if at all I consider, we have nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony and bismuth. Okay. These elements, a valence electronic configuration is Ns2np3, that means they have 5 valence electrons. 5 valence electrons. We all know silicon and germanium are commonly used semiconductors. They have got network structure in which every silicon atom is bonded with tetrahedrally with 4 silicon atoms. Okay. Whenever one of the silicon atom is replaced by other impurity, it is replaced by impurity. Okay. If I take indium, silicon is replaced by indium. Indium has got how many electrons? 3 electrons. It can make bond with how many silicon atoms? It can make bond with only 3 silicon atoms because it can utilize only 3 valence electrons. There is no other electron. So it is making bond with 3 of the silicon atoms and it has no electron to make bond with the 4th silicon atom. So electron of the 4th silicon atoms remains free to conduct electricity, and this electron deficiency is expressed as positive hole. We call this as positive hole. It is electron deficiency center, hence it is attracting the electron towards itself. As electron has got negative charge, we call this deficiency center as positive hole. So this kind of extrinsic semiconductors in which positive hole is responsible for the flow of electrons are called as positive type semiconductors, or we call them as p-type semiconductors. Okay. So in this question what is asked? Name the type of semiconductor obtained when germanium is doped with tin. It can be tin, it can be gallium, it can be aluminum, it can be boron. If any of these are added to silicon or germanium, we are going to get what? P-type semiconductors. So answer to this question is extrinsic semiconductor, and it is particularly P-type semiconductors. You should write the answer P-type semiconductor. Okay. So we have completed 1 mark questions. Let us move to the 2 mark question part. 18th question. Okay. We are discussing defects questions only. Defects in solids or imperfections in solids. What are point defects and line defects? Question number 18. What are point defects and what are line defects? See, we know any solid, if I consider, however pure it is always having defect according to third law of thermodynamics. Third law of thermodynamics states that entropy of a perfect crystalline solid is 0 at absolute 0 temperature. Entropy, we know the symbol of entropy, it is capital S, of a perfect crystalline substance, perfect crystal is 0, entropy is 0 at absolute 0 temperature. Okay, what is this? Third law of thermodynamics. Third law of thermodynamics. That means only at absolute 0 temperature entropy will be 0. But we all use the solids at normal temperature, atmospheric temperature. The temperature is absolute 0 means 0 Kelvin temperature, or it is minus 273.15 degrees Celsius. If the temperature increases from 0 Kelvin, okay, what happens? Entropy also increases. We all know entropy is directly proportional to temperature. Entropy is directly proportional to absolute temperature. As the temperature increases, entropy increases. Entropy nothing but disorder. Disorder nothing but a defect. There is no order in the sense defect. So, whenever we use any crystal at normal temperature, atmospheric temperature, it is very much higher compared to absolute zero temperature. So, the crystal must have any one or more than one kind of defects. We classify the defects into two types, point defects and line defects. What are point defects? What are line defects? See, we have studied lattice. Lattice nothing but three-dimensional arrangement of particles. Three-dimensional arrangement of particles like this. Three-dimensional arrangement of particles can be shown with the help of a diagram, array of lattice points. Okay, array of lattice points. This three-dimensional arrangement of array of lattice points is called as lattice. This is called lattice. Okay, in this lattice, there are lattice points. There are points. Each point in this lattice indicates a particle, an atom or ion or a molecule of a crystal. If this is the regular expected ideal arrangement of particles in the lattice, if at all there is a deviation, there is one particle which is missing, it is not there. Okay, there is one particle which is not there. Like this, if at all missing of the particles takes place about a point, about a particle, around a point in a crystal, deviation from ideal arrangement of particles around a point in a lattice, is called as what? Point defect. This is called as point defect. A point defect is nothing but deviation from the ideal arrangement of particles around a point like this. This is the point I have assumed. Around this point, I am expecting particles at these three, but these three particles are missing. That means this crystal is defected. So, we call this kind of defect as what? Point defect. One more kind of defect is there, that is line defect. Line defect nothing but deviation from the ideal arrangement of particles along a complete line of lattice points. So, this is the line that I assume. So, this is how I am expecting the particles in this particular line. If some of the particles are missing like this, okay, missing of particles or arrangement of particles in the complete line of lattice point, if at all defected, we call that as what? Line defect. Okay, hope I made it clear. Point defects and line defects. Coming to the next question, distinguish between Frankel defect and Schottky defect. Very important question. Oftenly it is asked in the examination, theory, as well as you will get questions in the competitive exams also. That is Schottky defect and Frankel defect. Okay, Frankel defect, Schottky defect or Schottky defect. Schottky and Frankel defect. See, these two type of defects are seen in ionic crystals. Ionic crystals only. So, we will find Frankel and Schottky defect only in ionic crystals. We know in ionic crystals the lattice positions are occupied by the cations and anions. We all know ionic crystals are electrically neutral. That means total number of positive charges and the total number of negative charges are equal. So, in case of Frankel defect, what happens? In this Frankel defect, one of the smaller ion, in Frankel defect, smaller ion, either it is cation or anion, Usually cations are smaller than the anions. Smaller ion is changing its position from lattice site into the interstitial site like this. Okay, so it is changing its position, creating vacancy. There is a vacancy defect and there is interstitial defect. Both are created. We call this as dislocation defect. It is called as dislocation defect. So what is this dislocation defect? Also called as Frankel defect, is nothing but change in the position of smaller ion from its lattice position into the interstitial position. This kind of defect is called as Frankel defect. Frankel defect is noticed in the ionic crystals in which there is a large difference in the size of cation and anion. If there is a large difference in the size, that is radii, of cation and anion in such type of ionic crystals, we can expect what kind of defect? Frankel defect. So due to this Frankel defect, there is no missing of the particle takes place. Particle is present within the lattice, therefore density of the crystal remains same. Density is unaltered, does not change. Density of the crystal does not change. Such a type of defect is called as what? Frankel defect. So Frankel defect is seen in ionic crystals in which there is a large difference in the size of cation and anion. It is nothing but shift of smaller ions from the lattice site into the interstitial site. Due to this defect, density of the crystal does not change. Example for this Frankel defect is zinc blende. In zinc blende we will find Frankel defect. Okay, we will find Frankel defect also in silver iodide, silver halides, silver chloride, silver bromide, silver fluoride also. In all these crystals we can see what kind of defect? Frankel defect. So in the question we are discussing about differences between Frankel and Schottky defect. Let us take up point which is let us take up the definition of the Schottky defect. So here Frankel is dislocation defect. What is Schottky defect? Schottky defect is nothing but missing of particles, equal number of cations and anions from the lattice. Okay, see, cations and anions, almost same sized cations and anions are present in the ionic crystals in which we find Schottky defect. Okay, see, missing of one anion and one cation, missing of one anion and one cation explains about what? Schottky defect. So what is Schottky defect? Nothing but missing of equal number of cations and anions from the lattice. They are not at all present in the lattice. They have skipped from the lattice, not present in the crystal. Crystal has become light, it has lost its mass, okay, not the size. So in what kind of ionic crystals we notice Schottky defect? Schottky defect is seen in such type of ionic crystals in which size of cation and size of anion are sizes, okay, are similar. There is no much difference in the size of cations and anions, then we can expect what kind of defect? Schottky defect. So due to Schottky defect, the crystal has lost its mass, therefore density of the crystal decreases. Density decreases due to what kind of defect? Schottky defect. One more point of difference we can add here. So instead of size, you can say Frankel defect is seen in low coordination number crystals. Crystals with a low coordination number. Schottky defect is seen in ionic crystals with high coordination number. Okay, so these are 4 differences between Frankel defect and Schottky defect. Example for Schottky defect, I said high coordination number, it is sodium chloride, cesium chloride. Along with these two, there is one substance compound which exhibits both Frankel and Schottky defect, that is silver bromide. I can write silver bromide as an example for what kind of defect? Schottky defect. See, this is very important. Silver bromide shows both Frankel defect as well as Schottky defect. Coming to the next question. Explain metal excess defect due to anion vacancy. So I explained this metal excess defect already when I was giving the definition of F centers. Okay. Coming to the next. Explain metal deficiency defect by using zinc oxide as an example, and this is also explained, I explained it in detail when I was discussing question number 20, that is zinc oxide turns yellow on heating, name the type of defect. Okay. Coming to the question number 22. Electrical conductivity of semiconductor increases with temperature, increases on doping with suitable material, give reasons. Okay, question related to semiconductors. So we know in the 1 mark questions what happens to the conductivity of electrolytes with the increase in temperature. While discussing that question, I took both effect of temperature on electrolytes, conductivity of electrolytes, conductivity of semiconductors, and conductivity of metals. I took all the three. Question is related to semiconductors now. Why does electrical conductivity of semiconductors increase with the temperature? See, whenever we take up a semiconductor, if at all temperature is increased, the electrons, free electrons present in the semiconductors, kinetic energy of these free electrons increases. Electrons gets activated. As the electrons get activated, they move fast, hence they conduct more. With the increase in temperature, kinetic energy of the electrons increases, hence conductivity also increases. One more is there in the same question, sub question number 2. Why does electrical conductivity of semiconductors increases on doping with suitable impurity? So we just now discussed about p-type semiconductors. In p-type semiconductors, positive holes are created due to the addition of trivalent impurity. Due to the formation of positive hole, nothing but electron deficiency which attract electrons. So you can say here, you can answer this question as due to the electron deficiency or due to the excess of electrons, semiconductors conductivity increases when doped with the trivalent or pentavalent impurities. Next question. Write the differences between p-type and n-type semiconductors. Okay, p-type semiconductors and n-type semiconductors. P-type semiconductors nothing but electron deficient. Electron deficient semiconductors. Okay. N-type semiconductors nothing but electron excess. Electron excess semiconductors. So if p-type semiconductors are obtained by doping of silicon or germanium with trivalent impurity. Okay. N-type semiconductors are obtained by the doping of silicon or germanium with pentavalent impurity. Pentavalent impurity. Okay. So this is second difference between p-type and n-type semiconductors. P-type semiconductors conduct electricity due to positive holes due to positive holes. That is, positive holes are responsible for electrical conduction, whereas these conduct electricity due to the presence of excess electrons. Excess electrons conduct or carry electric charge. Carry electric charge. So these are the differences between p-type and n-type semiconductors. Coming to the next, 24th last question in the 2 marks part. What type of semiconductor is obtained when silicon is doped with phosphorus? You should know what is phosphorus, where is phosphorus in the periodic table, is it pentavalent impurity or trivalent impurity. So we know in the group 15, that is, we have nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony and bismuth. Okay? These 15 group elements are called as pentavalent impurity. Pentavalent impurity due to NS2NP3 configuration. See, phosphorus belongs to 15 group pentavalent impurity, therefore it is going to form n-type semiconductor. Pentavalent impurity creates n-type semiconductors. Next one is silicon doped with boron. Okay, it is silicon doped with boron. Boron belongs to group 13. In group 13 we have boron, aluminium, gallium, indium and thallium. These are called as trivalent impurities. Trivalent impurities because of the electronic configuration Ns2, Np1, they have 3 valence electrons. So silicon doped with boron is nothing but what type of semiconductor? P-type semiconductor. So we have, so this is also important question. 23rd and 24th question both are important. They are already appeared in the previous year question papers. Okay. Coming to the third part, that is 3 mark questions. 3 mark question part, it is question number 11, 12 and 13. 3 questions we have to discuss. Okay, question number 11. What type of defect is introduced when molten sodium chloride is crystallized with strontium chloride? See, sodium chloride is mixed with strontium chloride. That means sodium chloride is mixed with some impurity. Nothing but impurity defect. That's it. Okay. So what type of defect is introduced when molten sodium chloride is mixed with or crystallized along with strontium chloride? It is made impure, nothing but impurity defect. 11th sub question number 2. So what type of vacancy is produced? Vacancy, what kind of vacancy is produced? Let us answer. See, in sodium chloride, sodium and chlorides are arranged in this fashion. So this is what the ideal arrangement of sodium and chlorine. Whenever this sodium chloride, in the crystallization of sodium chloride, some little strontium chloride is present. Little strontium chloride is present. During crystallization, what happens? To maintain electrical neutrality, two of the sodium ions are replaced by one strontium ion. You know, sodium is monovalent or having 1 plus oxidation state. Strontium is bivalent, having 2 positive charges, 2 plus 2 oxidation state. To maintain electrical neutrality, 2 of the sodium ions are replaced by 1 strontium ion. But 2 particles are replaced by 1 particle. This particle will occupy one of the vacancy produced like this. Only one vacancy is occupied by the strontium, other one remains unoccupied. What kind of unoccupied vacancy it is? It is cationic vacancy. So what is the question here? What is the question here? What type of vacancy is produced? The vacancy that is produced is what? Cationic vacancy. The next part of the same question. How many moles of these vacancies are created? How many such type of vacancies are created if the crystal obtained has 10 raised to minus 3 mole of strontium ions? So in the whole of the crystal, if 10 raised to minus 3 mole of strontium ions are present, 10 raised to minus 3 mole of strontium ions are present in the crystal, then how many vacancies are produced? It is very much clear in this diagram. When one strontium is present, one cation vacancy is obtained. Then if two strontiums are present, two vacancies are produced. If 1 mole of strontiums are present, 1 mole of vacancies are produced. If 10 raised to minus 3 mole of strontiums are present, then 10 raised to minus 3 mole cationic vacancy are present, are produced. So the answer is 10 raised to minus 3 mole vacancies are produced. You can express this in terms of number. You know 1 mole is equal to 1 Avogadro number. 1 Avogadro number nothing but 6.023 into 10 raised to 23 number of particles. So 10 raised to minus 3 mole nothing but 10 raised to minus 3 into 6.023 into 10 raised to 23, that is nothing but 6.023 into 10 raised to 20 vacancies. Cation vacancies are produced due to the presence of 10 raised to minus 3 mole of strontium ions. So the answer is answer in terms of mole or in terms of number. Both you can you should write. In the CET or in the competitive exams, anyone answer may be in terms of number or maybe in terms of mole. Okay, if it is asked in the theory exam, you can express in mole or in terms of vacancies. Question number 12. 3 marks, question number 12. Account for the following. See, silicon is doped with aluminium. Silicon is doped with aluminium, is a p-type semiconductor. Account means you should explain why. Why? Aluminium is, whenever silicon is doped with aluminium, it is called as p-type semiconductor. Why it is called as p-type semiconductor? So you know aluminium is a trivalent impurity. Aluminium is a trivalent impurity, therefore it is going to form p-type semiconductor. So if any trivalent impurity is added to silicon or germanium, we must get p-type semiconductors. Sub-question number 2 in the 12th question. Frankel defect does not change the density of the ionic crystals. So we know when we listed the difference between Frankel and Schottky defect, Frankel defect does not alter the density. Why? Because there is no missing of particles takes place. Particles remains in the crystal. There is no change in the mass of the crystal. There is no change in the volume of the crystal. That is, in Frankel defect, only dislocation takes place because it involves only dislocation of smaller ions. Therefore, density does not change. Answer is because during Frankel defect only dislocation of smaller ions takes place. Therefore, density does not change. Sub-question number 3 in the 12th question. Non-polar molecular solids have very low melting and boiling point. Non-polar molecular solids. Example, if I take non-polar molecular solid is carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is a linear molecule, dipole moment equal in and opposite direction, hence cancels. It is a non-polar molecule. Non-polar molecules have no charge separation. Okay. In this case, electron cloud is symmetrical in this way. If at all, this is the nucleus and this cloud is nothing but electron cloud. If two molecules come near to each other, nucleus of one molecule is attracted by the electrons of the neighboring molecule, or electrons of the one molecule is attracted to the nucleus of the neighboring molecule. During such condition, what happens? Electrons cloud get imbalanced. Electron cloud will be more on one side like this, will be more on one side, and this kind of dispersion of electron cloud takes place, making it a polar, separation of charges takes place. So there will be negative charge and positive charge. So this kind of molecules attract with each other, and that kind of force of attraction is called as dispersion force. Dispersion force, or we call it as London force of attraction. London force of attraction. See, this London force or dispersion force of attraction is the weakest force of attraction. Due to the very weak dispersion or London force of attraction, the non-polar molecular solids have very weak intermolecular force of attraction. Hence, they have got low melting and boiling point. Okay, they are very soft, they have got very low melting and boiling point, and they are available in gaseous state at room temperature. 13th question. Differentiate metals, insulators and semiconductors in terms of band theory. So this is collective question, but in the exam they will ask you the difference between any two. Okay, now let us take up metals. Instead of metals, you can write conductors, good conductors, semiconductors, and insulators. So we explain this conductivity of these three solid substances by using band theory. So in case of metals, the valence band is either half filled. This is valence band. Valence band is half filled, or else valence band which is filled is overlapped with the conduction band which is empty. What is this? Conduction band. Okay, conduction band, and this is completely filled valence band. Any one is possible in case of metals or conductors. Because of half-filled valence band or overlapped valence band with a conduction band, there is a free flow of electrons. Because of free flow of electrons, conductors have got high conductivity. Conductors or metals have got very high conductivity. In semiconductors, valence band and conduction band are not overlapped, but they are apart. This is energy axis. Okay, they are apart. This is the energy. There is an energy difference between conduction band and valence band. This energy gap is less energy gap. We call this energy gap as forbidden zone or forb zone. It is called as forbidden zone or forb zone. Forbidden zone is smaller here, lesser here. Only few electrons can jump from valence band into conduction band. Hence, these semiconductors have got low electrical conductivity. Okay, forbidden zone is smaller, yet few of the electrons can jump from valence band into conduction band, hence they have got low conductivity. In case of insulators, the valence band and conduction band are away. There is a large energy gap. There is a large energy gap between conduction band and valence band. Forbidden zone is bigger here. Therefore, very few, 1 in million number of electrons may jump from valence band into conduction band. Hence, there is no or very little or no conductivity. Conductivity is very less, negligibly small because of large forbidden zone. In case of insulators, less electrical conductivity, few of the electrons can jump from valence band into conduction band due to less energy gap, that is smaller forbidden zone. There is no energy gap at all between valence and conduction band in case of metals. There is a free flow of electrons, and which is responsible for high electrical conductivity. Okay, coming to the 5 mark questions. Question number 2 in the 5 mark questions. With respect to Frankel and Schottky defect, we have to answer the questions. Number 1. In which type of crystalline solids we find Frankel defect and Schottky defect? Answer is in ionic crystals. In ionic crystals, we find Frankel defect and Schottky defect. When do we expect a Frankel defect? Frankel defect is seen in ionic crystals with low coordination number, or in ionic crystals in which there is a large difference in the size of cation and anion. Cation is generally smaller and anion is larger. If at all this difference is there, then we will find what kind of defect? Frankel defect. Large difference in the cationic and anionic size, then we expect Frankel defect. Question number 3, sub question number 3. What type of defects does these show? Zinc blende, ZNS, that is Frankel defect. Okay. What next? Sodium chloride. Sodium chloride. You will answer this question, that is Schottky defect. Silver bromide, AgBr, both Schottky defect as well as Frankel defect. Okay. See, zinc blende exhibits Frankel defect, low coordination number, its coordination number is equal to 4. Sodium chloride exhibits Schottky defect, whose coordination number is 6. Okay. So, silver bromide exhibits both Schottky defect as well as Frankel defect. Question number 3, very interesting question. It is on metal deficiency defect. So, in ferrous oxide, FeO solid, some of the Fe2 plus ions are replaced, missing from the lattice, and are replaced, balanced, charge is balanced due to the presence of Fe3 plus ions. What is that? In FeO solid, some of the Fe2 plus ions are missing, but the charge is balanced by the presence of Fe3 plus ions. This is the explanation given. If Fe2 plus ions are missing are 15, then how many Fe3 plus ions balance the charge? See, 15 Fe2 plus ions are missing. Okay. Missing, how many positive charges are missing? It means how many positive charges? 15 into plus 3 plus 2. That is equal to how many positive charges? 30 positive charges are missing or less. Okay. Then to add 30 positive charges, how many Fe3 plus ions are to be added? We have to, Fe3 plus will balance the deficient positive charges. How many are deficient now? 30 are deficient. What ions we are adding? Fe3 plus. What is the charge on Fe3 plus ions? Ferric ions plus 3. You divide 30 by 3. What you are getting? 10. 10 into 3 is equal to what? 30. That means how many Fe3 plus ions are to be added? 10. Okay, so if at all 15 Fe2 plus ions are missing, 10 Fe3 plus ions are to be added to balance the charge. Answer is 10 Fe3 plus ions. Sub question 2. What type of defect does this lead to? We know this is nothing but metal deficiency defect. Because of this deficiency, what will happen? Formula of the FeO expected was FeO, but we may get 0.98O or Fe 0.95O. In this way, less number of irons are present when compared to the number of oxygens. So we call this as metal deficiency defect. Third sub question, last I think. Okay, if for 100 oxide ions, number of Fe2 plus and 3 plus are given as 85 and 10. For 100 oxides are present in the lattice, 85 Fe2 plus ions are present and 10 Fe3 plus ions are present. Then what is the formula of the compound? Count the number of iron, that's it. Add them, you get 85 plus 10, what is that? 95. So for 100 oxides, how many irons are present? 95. So you can write iron 95, oxygen 100. Or you can write iron 0.95, oxygen 1. For each oxygen, how many irons are present? 0.95 number of irons are present. So in this way, number of irons are less than number of oxygens. Hence, it is considered as metal deficiency defect. Last question, number 3B question. Okay. How many types of primitive unit cells are known? Okay. So it is beginning of the lesson. How many types of primitive unit cells? There are 7 crystal systems. In all crystal systems, you will be finding one primitive cell. That means how many types of primitive unit cells are possible? 7 types of primitive unit cells are possible. Answer is 7. 7 types of primitive unit cells, 7 types of crystals and 7 types of primitive unit cells. Name any one crystal system for which only primitive unit cells are possible. You can write, you can remember, it is triclinic. Triclinic, in which all the edges are different, unequal, and all the angles are not equal and not equal to 90 degrees. These are the parameters of triclinic crystal system, in which you will find only primitive unit cell. So this is very important, very important. Triclinic crystal system has only one kind of lattice, that is primitive lattice, and primitive unit cell is possible. Most unsymmetric crystal system is what? Triclinic system. That's it. Thank you.